When you think of a global showdown, what comes to mind? Oil fields, maybe? High-tech computer chips? Well, buckle up because the latest international drama that's shaking up North America isn't about any of those things. It's about the humble, everyday potato. That's right. In a surprising turn of events in 2025, a simple crop became the centerpiece of a major economic clash between the United States and Canada, and it's revealing some huge cracks in a relationship we all took for granted. For decades, the border between the U.S. and Canada was, for potato farmers, little more than a line on a map. An incredible 92% of Canada's potato exports went straight to the U.S., ending up as French fries in your favorite diner or bags of chips in your pantry. It was a smooth, predictable system that worked for everyone. Then, overnight, everything changed. The U.S. government slapped a massive 35% tariff on Canadian potatoes. A tariff is essentially a tax on imported goods, and the idea was to make Canadian potatoes more expensive to encourage Americans to buy domestically. In response, Canada didn't just roll over. It immediately cut its potato exports to the U.S. by a staggering 40%. That's over 140,000 metric tons of potatoes, enough to supply roughly 17 million American homes that suddenly vanished from the supply chain. The impact was immediate and impossible to ignore. Have you noticed your favorite restaurant's French fry portions getting a little smaller? Or seen the price of a bag of potatoes creep up at the grocery store? This is why. If you're feeling the pinch, hit that like button and share this story so more people can understand the real-world effects of these big policy decisions. Here's the most important question in any trade dispute. Who actually pays the price? Politicians often sell tariffs as a way to punish other countries and protect jobs at home. But the reality on the ground is almost always more complicated. In the case of the Great Potato Tariff, Canada isn't the one footing the bill. American businesses and consumers are. Think of it like this. When an American company that makes frozen fries has to pay 35% more to import its main ingredient, it doesn't just absorb that cost, it passes it down the line. That company charges the grocery store more, and the grocery store charges you more. Almost overnight, retail potato prices jumped by 8 to 12 cents per pound. That 50-pound bag that used to cost your local diner $22 suddenly shot up to $30. This created a massive scramble. Restaurants and food producers were desperate to find new suppliers. But American potato farmers, who were already dealing with their own challenges like labor shortages and unpredictable weather, couldn't just magically grow millions more potatoes to fill the gap. The system, which was built on a seamless cross-border flow, began to unravel. It was a classic case of unintended consequences, creating what many economists call an invisible tax on American families. So, what did Canada do with all those potatoes it was no longer sending to the U.S.? This is where the story gets really interesting. Instead of waiting for things to go back to normal, Canada made a bold and strategic pivot. In June 2025, Ottawa finalized a massive $1.6 billion Canadian dollar export deal, not with another neighbor, but with markets clear across the Pacific Ocean, specifically Japan, South Korea, and Indonesia. Why Asia? For starters, these markets have a booming demand for high-quality food products. But more importantly, these countries are part of the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPTPP. The CPTPP is a massive free trade agreement among 11 Pacific Rim countries. It's designed to make trade smooth, predictable, and tariff-free for its members. Canada is a founding member of this club. The United States, after withdrawing from the agreement's predecessor under the Trump administration, is not. So, while the U.S. was building a trade wall, Canada simply walked through a door it had already helped build. As one viral comment online cleverly put it, Asian culinary professionals can now turn Canadian potatoes into works of art. This isn't just about finding a new buyer, it's about joining a more stable, forward-looking economic ecosystem. Of course, this pivot isn't without its own challenges. Shipping potatoes halfway around the world is more complex and expensive than driving them across the border. But for Canada, it's a calculated risk. It's a choice to trade with willing partners rather than fight with an unpredictable old friend. It's a huge strategic gamble for Canada. Do you think pivoting to Asia is a smart long-term move, or is it too risky? I'd love to read your take on it in the comments below. This potato crisis is about so much more than a vegetable. It's a powerful lesson in how modern global trade really works. For decades, the North American economy operated like a finely tuned machine, built on a foundation of trust and predictability. Canadian farmers planted their crops assuming they'd have a buyer in the U.S., and American businesses built their supply chains around that assumption. The 35% tariff shattered that trust. It sent a clear message that long-standing relationships could be upended by a single political decision. When trust disappears from a trade relationship, everything becomes uncertain. Think about it. Canadian farmers don't just sell potatoes to the U.S. They also buy American-made tractors, fertilizer, and equipment. As the relationship sours, those supply chains start to fray too. The damage can spread like a domino effect. If it's potatoes today, what could it be tomorrow? Lumber, dairy, energy? The U.S. is discovering that in today's global economy, being the biggest customer doesn't guarantee loyalty. Predictability and respect are often more valuable currencies than the U.S. dollar. While the U.S. risks isolating itself, Canada is busy diversifying its partnerships, strengthening its own food security, and proving it has other options. The potato tariff crisis has exposed two very different paths forward. The U.S. is testing a strategy of protectionism, hoping to force a return to domestic production through tariffs and trade barriers. Canada, on the other hand, is leaning into multilateralism, building strength through a network of international partners under stable, rules-based agreements like the CPTPP. For now, the consequences are on full display. Higher prices and emptier shelves for Americans, and new opportunities and new partnerships for Canadians. The world is not waiting for the U.S. to sort out its trade philosophy. The big question is whether this is just a temporary falling out or the beginning of a permanent uncoupling of the North American economy. The humble potato has become a mirror, reflecting a new and uncertain reality. The old rules are gone, and the future of trade is being rewritten right now, one shipping container at a time. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story insightful, please give it a like, subscribe for more content like this, and be sure to ring that notification bell so you never miss an update. We'll see you in the next one.